Call the meeting to order. Let's go through roll call, please. Is it showing it's supposed to be on? There you go. That's 7 of us, so we have a quorum. All right, we'll move on to announcements. Joe, you need to start us off?
I think Mike has one announcement for us.
Chairman McCoy, the only announcement I have is that you'll see a closed session listed on your agenda at the end. We put that on there just in case we got a ruling or an order from Christie's motion to dismiss, but that hasn't come yet, so we're going to delay that until next month.
Sounds good. Hearing nothing else, we'll move on to consideration of the minutes. Commissioner Lathers.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Let's vote. Jessica, have you caught up? Oh, okay. Thank you.
There we go.
All right. The moving on to the consent agenda, we will not read these all out loud. Are there any? Is there anybody that needs to abstain or remove an item from the list to discuss further? Hearing none, we'll take the group as a whole. Do we need a motion and a second on the consent agenda? We got a motion to approve and Commissioner Richter second. Any further discussion? Let's vote, please. And motion passes. So moving on to old business. Item 17, preliminary plat review for Gray Barn Farms, large lot easement subdivision containing 5 lots on 119.92 acres located off Kennard Springs Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject property is approximately 120 acres in size and is located at the end of Kennard Springs Road, approximately 1 mile southeast of Carters Creek Pike. The applicant is requesting approval of a large lot easement subdivision in order to create 5 lots off a new 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement. At this time, the applicant is requesting deferral to the May 2022 Planning Commission meeting to allow the applicant more time to address staff comments. Staff concurs with this deferral request. This is the 3rd time the applicant has requested deferral on this project. If the applicant is not able to address all staff comments by the May meeting, staff will recommend denial of this project.
Thank you. Any discussion on item 17?
Okay. This says it's in the fifth district, voting district, but I don't think this is in the 5th, just to clarify. Is it in the 5th?
I guess I'd have to check the voting district list.
We'll check on that for next time.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Good deal. We have a motion. We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Let's go to vote. Passes. Item 18 under old business is concept plan review for 2600 Hillsborough Road containing 34 lots on 176.51 acres located off Hillsborough Road in the 8th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item was deferred at the March 2022 meeting. The applicant is requesting concept plan approval of a 34-lot conservation subdivision in the Rural Preservation 5 zoning district. The review of a concept plan is the first stage in the development approval process. In order to allow additional time to address staff's comments, the applicant has requested action on this item be deferred until the May 2022 meeting. Staff concurs with this request.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any further discussion on item 18? Any, do we have a motion? Thank you, sir.
Okay, now, I'm sorry, but we keep having verbal motions that aren't matching the electronic, so let's try and be a little more careful with that, with the next item. Thanks.
Go ahead.
I made the motion. I punched the button anyway.
All right. You move for deferral? Is that
I
what
do.
you? Okay. We have a second by Mr. McCord. Thank you. Any further discussion? Let's go to vote. Motion passes. Commissioner McCord, item 19.
Request to speak? Yeah, I need to abstain on this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 19, the homes at Mulberry Meadows containing 27 lots on 198.4 acres located off of Teleferno Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting concept plan approval for a 27-lot conservation subdivision in the Rural Development 5 zoning district. Lots range in size from 1.14 acres to 3.16 acres. Concept plan approval is the first stage in the development process. In order to allow additional time to address staff's comments, the applicant has requested action on this item be deferred until the May 2022 meeting. Staff concurs with this request.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion on item number 19? We have a Commissioner Lathers.
I'll move for deferral.
Brian Richter was the second. Thank you, sir. No further discussion. We'll go to vote. Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 20, Little Creek Farms containing 18 lots on 57.08 acres located off of Wilson Pike in the 4th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved in October 2018 and has since expired. The applicant is requesting concept plan approval for an 18-lot traditional subdivision in the Municipal Growth Area 1 zoning district. Lots range in size from approximately 1 acre to 3.5 acres. Concept plan approval is the first stage in the development process. There are karst features located on the site that have been remediated, and staff has concerns regarding the mitigation of those karst features. More specifically, the geotechnical study submitted by the applicant has not made the findings as required by Section 13.04D1 of the zoning ordinance, and the subsequent repairs have not been certified as appropriate for the proposed land use, as required in Section 13.04D2 of the zoning ordinance. The applicant has requested action on this item be deferred until the May 2020 meeting in order to allow additional time to respond to staff's comments regarding the mitigation of the karst features on site. Staff concurs with this request.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion on item number 20? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Brian Richter and Keith McCord with the second. Let's vote, please. Mr. Lackey? Yep, there you go. Thank you, sir. Item number 21, under preliminary plats, Fiddlers Glen Phase 2, containing 30 lots on 78.71 acres located off Murfreesboro Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved by this body at the August 2020 meeting, and the applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval of the second phase of the development, which contains 30 lots and approximately 67 acres of open space. The plat is consistent in layout with the approved concept plan. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat. In conjunction with final plat consideration, the following items must be addressed. Number 1, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 2, prior to submittal of the first final plat, all off-site roadway improvements to Murfreesboro Road shall be completed to the satisfaction of TDOT. Number 3, establishment of performance bonds for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Number 5, establishment of a bond for the wastewater collection system. Number 6, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 7, execution of performance agreement for the above referenced sureties. Number 8, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 9, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion on item number 21? What did you say?
Yes, yep,
Commissioner Rose?
yes. On item number 2 on the list there, the off-site roadway improvements to be made. For example, it says turn lane improvements. Do we have any specific improvements that have been listed that they're looking at?
So, Commissioner, all of the improvements are on Murfreesboro Road, and the design engineer is here. I'm going to ask him to speak to you about those.
Thank you.
If you will, state your name.
Richard Howes with SEC. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering what improvements that you'll be making to Murfreesboro Road?
There will be a left turn lane at the entrance to Phase 1 and a right decel lane into the entrance off of 96.
Okay.
So-
Thank you, thank you.
Commissioner Baldry?
There's going to be 2 entrances, right?
There's the entrance off of 96, and then there's the entrance that comes in through Arrington Ridge.
Okay. So there's going to be a left turn lane, and then there's going to be right into it.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion at this point or further discussion? Thank you, sir. Mr. McCord with a second. Thank you, sir. Let's move to vote. Eddie, you logging back in?
Yeah.
There we go.
Nothing like a good phone call in the middle of a meeting.
That's it. 21 passes. Thank you.
Stop at the store for some.
Moving on to item number 22, St. Marlow Phase 3, AKA Duquette property containing 36 lots on 23.52 acres located off of Gosey Hill Road in the 12th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved at the October 2020 meeting, and the applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for the third phase of the development, which contains 36 lots and approximately 8 acres of open space. The preliminary plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the concept plan, and staff recommends approval with the following conditions, which shall be addressed in conjunction with final plat consideration. Number 1, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 2, establishment of performance bonds for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 3, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Number 5, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 6, execution of performance agreements for the above referenced sureties. Number 7, execution of stormwater maintenance agreements and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 8, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion on item number 22? Commissioner LaShin?
Question on that Kelly's place, where the roadways are shown. Seems like we talked about this on another plan recently. Maybe we don't need to show that potential for connection to the adjoining property. Maybe that's just in a cul-de-sac. I'm just wondering if planning staff looked at that in light of how land use can change this area.
That's going into the adjoining.
And that's Kelly's place, is that right? Yeah.
So the comment is you don't think it should be connected to the property line, or?
Right, I'm just wondering whether we need to show that connection. It would be one thing if we anticipated all of that area to develop in a similar manner, but
Yeah, I mean, that was a request that they show that connection to make a possible future connection to the adjacent property possible, and they do need to construct that road to the property line.
so even though it'll be much less dense, we still think that'll be a connection in the future. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, we just want to have that opportunity in the future if needed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Commissioner Lathers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to note, this is on our plans, but just for the record, on note number 10, on November 9th, 2020, the property in question was rezoned from rural development RD1 to the rural development RD5 zoning district. However, as the concept plan for this development was submitted prior to the change in zoning, the applicant is being reviewed pursuant to the prior rural development 1 standards as required by the zoning ordinance and state vesting statutes. And one of the questions I'm getting in the community is people don't understand that you can still have a conservation subdivision, and I'm glad I have the professionals here to correct me if I'm wrong. Conservation subdivisions can still happen with the 1 to 5. There's just going to be less dense, and we may see some larger lot sizes, and we're going to definitely see more protection of natural resources, maybe ecosystem, and more open space. Am I communicating that accurately?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And I just point this out for anybody who had a question on it. You know, we were in that, a lot of us know, we were in that period of time of transition, and we're honoring what was grandfathered. But going forward, it doesn't mean that there will not be conservation subdivisions. Okay, I'm glad I'm saying it correctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any further questions or comments? Do we have a motion? Commissioner Crohan? Thank you, sir. Commissioner Richter? Thank you, sir. Let's move to vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 23 23, Robertson large lot subdivision containing 4 lots on 20 acres located off Henpeck Lane in the 11th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject parcel is approximately 20 acres in size and is located off St. James Drive, 1/3 mile northwest of Douglas Glen Lane. The applicant is requesting approval of a large lot easement subdivision in order to create 3 lots off a new 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement. At this time, the applicant is requesting deferral to the May 2022 Planning Commission meeting to allow the applicant more time to address staff comments.
Thank you. Any discussion on item 23? Commissioner Rose?
Yeah, my question is, what will that open onto? Will that open onto the highway? Will that open onto Henpeck Lane, Douglas Lane, St. James?
Well, what they're proposing is to extending the public right-of-way of St. James onto the property and then creating a 50-foot wide easement that provides access to all 3 lots. And the easement will not go, it will be an easement and it will not go to the property line at the other end of the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Do I have a motion? Thank you, Brian. Mr. McCord? Second. Thank you. Have a motion and a second. Let's go to vote, please. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 24, property of Gentry Farm LP containing 1 lot on 5 acres located off Old Charlotte Pike in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject property is approximately 5 acres in size and is located off Old Charlotte Pike East, approximately 3/4 of a mile west of Mac Hatcher Memorial Parkway. The applicant is requesting approval of a large lot easement subdivision in order to create the 4th lot off an existing 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement. At this time, the applicant is requesting deferral to the May 2022 Planning Commission meeting to allow the applicant more time to address staff comments.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions?
No second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Let's vote, please. Motion passes. Item 25, Terra Vista, Section 1, containing 48 lots on 63.58 acres, located off Long Lane in the 12th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A revised preliminary plat for this development was approved at the November 2021 meeting. The applicant is now requesting final plat approval of the first section of the development, which contains 48 lots, 33.66 acres of open space, and the treatment and disposal areas for the wastewater treatment system. The plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the revised preliminary plat. All required off-site roadway improvements have been completed. Staff recommends approval of the final plat with the following conditions. Number 1, the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 2, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control in the amount of $1,900,000. Number 3, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District in the amount of $724,690. Number 4, per the recommendation of the county's wastewater consultant, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system in the amount of $152,300. Number 5, establishment of a performance bond for landscaping in the amount of $66,550. Number 6, execution of performance agreements for the above referenced sureties. Number 7, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 8, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Commissioner Rose?
Yeah, on the plat map, there's a notation on there that shows that the lots that have asterisks on them are critical lots. I don't know what that means.
Commissioner, if you'll give me 1 second, let me find the note.
Okay. It's not real big.
I think he's going to find that that's due to land disturbance on the lots. They will require lot certification letters be submitted with the building permit application. So basically, they have to have a geotechnical engineer look at the lot because the land has been previously disturbed.
Okay. Most of the lots in that subdivision are marked that way.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They did what we refer to as mass grading on that development.
Okay, prior to coming up with this plan. Is that what?
No, ma'am. No,
No.
ma'am. It was
No.
it was a plan that was presented to our office and approved prior to the beginning of the project.
Okay, okay, thank you. And do we know if there are going to be more sections to this development?
There is another section to this development. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you very much.
Commissioner Baldridge?
Sort of piggybacking off of Commissioner Rose, the landscape bond, the 66,550, can you go into a little more detail of what the landscape's going to be like? Because when I come down Long Lane, and all that mass grading that William was talking about, it's just big red ball up there. And I was just wondering what kind of protection, what kind of landscaping that's going to look like to make it, in character with the surrounding community. I was a little concerned about that.
Commissioner Baldry, I'm going to ask Allison from T-Square to step up to the podium to respond to your question. We have reviewed the landscaping plan that has been submitted, and it does meet the requirements, but I believe Allison will be able to give you more details of the plantings that will be involved.
If you don't mind, just state your name, please.
Yep. Allison Baldwin with T-Square Engineering. So all along the front side of Long Lane, we'll have a berm, and then all along that berm, we'll have evergreens, as well as other small shrubs and bushes that actually exceed the landscape requirements per Williamson County. So
And that's just at the front along the side?
it'll be at the front all along Long Lane, and then it'll also wrap around the side portions of the property all the way to the back, all the way to the rear of the property.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am?
Commissioner Lathers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to follow up too on Commissioner Rose's comment and just make sure I'm understanding from staff. When it is allocated as a critical lot, that means that we have additional oversight and review authority, right? We're going to have a little bit more from staff looking at those lots. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's probably a correct statement simply because they have to they're required to submit a pad certification letter which states that the lot is acceptable for single-family residence construction. And that's something that is generally not a step. There are lots of reasons why a lot can be critical. But in this particular case, it is due to the mass grading.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Baldridge again? Yep.
So will there come a time if we can't correct the critical lot that lot will just become green space, or will it just continue until we can build a single-family home on it?
I'm sorry, Robbie.
I said, will there be a point where the lot will continue to be critical where you can still build on it, or will it become green space if you can't correct the critical lot? Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
No, I think the answer to your question is if they can't present a pad certification letter that
Yes.
says they have
Yeah.
the appropriate compaction and the conditions that allow it to have a home constructed, then they'll have to go back in and rework it. But it'll still be a lot. It
Yeah.
just may
Okay.
be that they have to do additional work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tim Turner, T-Square Engineering. So Floyd, if I remember correctly, critical lot, so when we get each individual lot, the house plan, we'll put the footprint on the lot, the driveway on the lot, we'll do individual grading for each of those lots as they submit for a building permit.
Yeah, and typically, the engineered site plan is referenced for steep slopes. And I don't remember what percentage of these lots
I don't either.
were allowed because you had slopes from 15 to 25% in inside the lot. But that's the only one that says, okay, you need an engineered site plan.
Detailed engineered
For-
site plan.
Yeah, for what William was talking about, if you've mass graded and filled, we need the geotechnical
Right.
letter. So it could
There'll
be one or two things.
Yeah, one or two, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to answer your question, we will, so on those critical lots, we will submit a site plan that shows all the grading, all erosion control, all those things as far as slopes and all that's.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tim.
And just for my clarification, or it's not, but as Commissioner Lathers said, she said nothing comes back to the planning commission, it goes to staff for y'all's approval.
That's correct.
We'll submit to the engineering department.
Thank you. Yep. Any further discussion? Do we have a motion on this? Hold on. Commissioner Rose?
I make the motion that, that we approve according to the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Richter? Thank you, thank you. Let's go to vote, please. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 26, High Park Hill, Section 1, containing 39 lots on 37.04 acres located off Murfreesboro Road in the 5th Voting District. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A preliminary plat for this section of the development was approved by this body at the March 2021 meeting. The applicant is now requesting final plat approval for the first section of the development, which contains 39 lots and approximately 23.5 acres of open space. All associated wastewater components are located within the Kings Chapel development. The roads within the development will be private. The plat is consistent in layout with the approved preliminary plat. Improvements to Murfreesboro Road, which include turn lanes, has been reviewed and approved by the Tennessee Department of Transportation. Staff recommends approval of the final plat with the following conditions. Number 1, if a security gate is to be installed, a permit will need to be obtained prior to its installation, and all requirements for such gates as outlined in Section 17.11 of the zoning ordinance will need to be met. Number 2, the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 3, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control in the amount of $1,360,000. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District in the amount of $347,580. Number 5, per the recommendation of the county's wastewater consultant, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater off-site collection system in the amount of $125,700. Number 6, per the recommendation of the county's wastewater consultant, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system in the amount of $84,000. Number 7, establishment of a performance bond for landscaping in the amount of $111,400,000. Number 8, execution of a performance agreement for the above referenced sureties. Number 9, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 10, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion on item 26? Commissioner Baldry?
Thank you, Chairman. So improvements to Murfreesboro Road, which include the turn lanes. I couldn't find it on the map. So what kind of turn lanes are we talking? That's kind of a congested area over there now, so. Right turn lanes, left turn lanes?
So we have the engineering consultant here. Sorry, Brian. Got tongue-tied there.
Brian Holcomb, M2 Group.
Thanks.
So there are right turn lanes and turn lanes for both entrances into the development.
So right turn lanes and left off.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
That's perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rose?
I'm assuming from item number 1 on here, it says if a security gate is to be installed. So I guess I'm assuming that that is in the plans at some point, possibly.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure the developer has decided yet or not
Okay.
if the gates will be installed.
Okay.
But I think it's more of a placeholder if he plans to do that.
Okay, all right. And do we know what the projected number of sections within that development will be?
It'll be 4 sections.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Anything else?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions? Do we have a motion? Thank you. Commissioner Rose? Thank you. Let's vote. Motion passes. Moving on to item 27 under other business, establishment of a landscaping bond for landscaping improvements for 1200 Old Hillsborough Road on 8.3 acres located off of Old Hillsborough Road in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Zoning Appeals approved a request for a special use permit to allow a mixed-use, multi-tenant development on the subject property at the March 2022 meeting, and the site plan for this use has been reviewed by staff. However, due to the cost of the required improvements and pursuant to Section 16.07 of the zoning ordinance, a performance bond for landscaping improvements must be established by the Planning Commission prior to final site plan approval by staff. Staff recommends the establishment of a performance bond for landscaping improvements in the amount of $90,600.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion on item 27? Commissioner Rose?
I just have a question as to if we know when any building is projected to begin on this.
So, Commissioners, it's my understanding that as soon as final site plan is approved, they will start submitting building permits, which should be any day now.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Lathers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry to prolong this, but just for education to the community watching, I've also had questions about this. The Board of Zoning Appeals is the entity that did the special use permit. Can you give us more clarity on that, so just that area understands that it was the BZA and not the PC at that level?
So this use was permitted in the Grassland Village Character 2 zoning district as a special use. And so the applicant made a request to the Board of Zoning Appeals for that special use, and the Board of Zoning Appeals reviewed and granted it.
And as a follow-up, we will just be reviewing the site plan, is that correct?
So the zoning ordinance allows the staff to review and approve the site plan because it went to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
All righty, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we got a motion. We have a motion and second. Let's vote, please. Motion passes. Item 28 has been removed from the list, and we have a motion to adjourn. Thank you.